How do you create something that's different than everyone else? You do it differently than everyone else. Here at Copeland Creative, we specialize in telling captivating stories of wild people, wild things, and wild places. We don't just capture the story, we immerse ourselves in it. We are a diverse, multi-talented media house based in North Georgia, and if you have a story that needs told, we want to help you tell it.
And there we are. All right, so I told everybody we're going to go live today. As you can tell, it's just me and my brother in the studio today. We haven't started the podcast yet because we always give guys a few minutes to jump on because we usually get started about 3:30. And look at that. We're 3 minutes late today because Ryer's not here. We're only 3 minutes late because Ryer's not here. So if you're just joining us or want to ask questions during the podcast, you know how to do that. You do it on YouTube, you do it on Instagram, you do it over email, however you want to ask questions. I've got the YouTube live up on my computer. I've got the live stream up, and I'm running the board today. It's a one-man band with my guest host, Josh Copeland. Hello.
What's up?
This is his first podcast, and I asked him yesterday to do this. So it'll be a fun one. He listens to a lot of podcasts. We'll talk about a lot of that in a minute. But it is Wednesday, isn't it? Yeah, Wednesday. We always do these at between 3 and 3:30 on Wednesday. So we'll see if anybody shows up. If not, we'll get going. Yo. I wonder because I always get on and harass Ryer and Clay when I'm not on there, so we'll see if they do the same to me. I doubt it. We'll see if anybody's on Instagram.
Where's Ryer at?
They're in Florida. They will be back. They were going to be doing a hog hunt, but now they're not going to be because Brian is sick. He's got the COVID, supposedly, and he said he feels terrible, so they will not be filming the hog hunt. They'll be coming back. Arrived. What? And I didn't do a good job of promoting this one. Ryer always does a much better job. That's because I really haven't done a whole much anything today, to be honest.
I'm the whole reason that you're doing this.
True. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't even came into the office today. I had one little edit change for a Dudley edit today, but other than that was about it.
No, like if I wasn't your brother, you wouldn't be Copeland Creative.
Well, we're going to get in. I've told this story about where Redneck Tech came from, but I'm going to get you to tell that one too.
I don't know.
North Georgia Technical College.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think I've told my versions of several stories, but I was going to get you to tell your version of them.
Yeah.
And you've never been on a podcast, and you listen to a bunch of podcasts, so figured we might as well get you on one. Maybe somebody will hear you and want you on theirs. You never know.
You're right.
Oh, I'm asking. Yes, I can. What are you looking at, Puddin'? All right, let's do this thing.
The Redneck Tech Podcast is brought to you by Mike'sArchery.com. They're a one-stop shop for virtually everything archery, bow hunting, and for your next outdoor adventure. Mike's Archery has been at the top of the archery game for over 50 years, and they want to give listeners of the Redneck Tech Podcast 10% off their entire online store using the code REDNECK10, all one word. Just put the code in before you check out, and your boys will hook you up. The guys at Mike's have always been good to us, and now they can be good to you too. Visit Mike'sArchery.com and get your gear now.
Right here. Yeah. You want it? What's up? Episode 151. I'm here with my brother, Josh Copeland. It is just, if you're watching on live, you can tell it's just us. No one else is here. I sent Ryer and Keegan and Hunter, the new intern, to the beach. They're down there doing content, doing some stuff for Brian and Spy Point, and Puddin just ran up to the table and hit it with an antler that she's chewing on. And then Clay is fishing. So the only person working this week is me, really. But I'm going to be honest, I haven't done a whole lot either. But a lot of you have listened to the stories of the creation story, I guess, of how I got into this and how Copeland Creative started, how Redneck Tech started. And if you haven't, there's a podcast where I kind of tell the whole story. It's very, very early on. I'll have to go back and reference it to be able to tell you which one it was, because I honestly can't tell off the top of my head which one it was. But it all started with my brother, because Josh, maybe you should just introduce yourself first, since I haven't done a very good job of that. Just introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you.
I don't know what to say. I'm Caleb's brother. I'm the reason he is in the outdoor space.
I figured you'd try and take credit for something.
Oh, yeah. It's all mine.
Get that a little closer to your mouth. You're a little low there. There you go.
It's all my doings.
Yeah.
I have 2 chicken houses. I have 5 kids. I'm very busy. I love to hunt, and when I have time.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it.
Yeah. So we grew up 10, 15 minutes from right where we're sitting. And my dad took us hunting, which I've told these story. I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot, but my dad took us hunting when we were little. He took us until we were old enough to go by ourselves, and then he liked to sleep in on Saturday mornings. That was always his reward to himself, because our dad worked a lot when we were little. And he would still get up on Saturdays to take us hunting. That's about the only day we hunted growing up, was on Saturday mornings when we were little, because that's the only day we could. Because growing up, Dad didn't really let us hunt on Sunday. That's changed over the years, or we just wore him down to where he would start letting us, because we're like, hey, we're only going to get to hunt Saturday, but we want to hunt Saturday and Sunday. And we finally wore him down. But, and then Josh and I got him into bow hunting years and years later. We grew up hunting North Georgia, hunting tiny little whitetails, and we loved it. That's all we knew to do. We hunted the same pretty much little 100-acre place that, you hunted a lot more than I do, but we still hunt to this day. We thought we knew what hunting was. We thought we understood what whitetail hunting was, and I thought I knew what filming was back in the day, and I really didn't have any idea. But we've hunted since we were both too little to remember it. But the whole thing, hey, Devin's on. What's up, Devin? The whole thing about how this all got started kind of started with, which I've told the story, and I'll tell a really abbreviated version, but I want you to tell your version of it here in a minute, is I essentially wrote into Field and Stream magazine, and I signed up for what was called Generation Wild, as if I were you. And because you had to be under 18, and you were 17 or right at 18 at the time, and I was 20 or 21. And lo and behold, you end up winning. And then they called you. I don't remember how the call went, but tell me how the call went when they called you and told you. Because I've always, and this is how I describe myself to people when they say, well, how's your brother? I'm like, I was the tech savvy one. My brother's not the tech savvy one. I was the one that understood computers and things like that, and I enjoyed it. Josh was like, not a big fan.
Still not,
yeah. So, and that was kind of how I differentiated us. I was like, we both like to hunt. We both were, always played sports. You rode more motorcycles than sports, but always, athletic and did different things. But I was a tech one. You weren't.
Yeah. That day I got a phone call. I think it's something popped up on my phone. I think it was New York.
Yeah, it was Field and Stream's based in New York. Yeah.
It said something New York. I don't know. That was how many years ago?
That would have been whenever you were 18. So
2008.
Yeah.
I was like, what is going on? And back then we didn't have all the spam calls we have now.
Yeah.
So I answered it, and it guy was Colin Kearns. I'll never forget his name.
Exactly. I couldn't remember his name. I can't even remember that crap. I need to look him up.
Well,
see what he's doing nowadays.
Hey, telling me, that I won this big sweepstakes, and I was like, what are you, and I was like, I just went along with it. I had no idea. And I called you, I guess. And
Yeah, well, you
said-
asked me what was going on. You're like, this doesn't sound bad. This like sounds
Yeah.
legit.
Yeah, obviously it was legit, but I was just in shock because I didn't know what had happened. You never told me that you put my name in for the drawing.
Well, I never thought you would win.
Yeah, and then I get a call, but that's how it went down. And then we went and did the whole thing for a year as one of their pro staffers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Back when pro staff still meant something.
Yeah, and got the shirt. I think I still have one of them, and got to go to. What I remember the most was going down to the Bill Jordan's farm and seeing all that down there. And
But you got to go. You got to go. So when you won that, I tried to go. What's she doing?
she's chewing on the board.
No, ma'am. Sorry, my dog is acting up. You got to do. You got to go to Realtree Farms. You got to do a turkey hunt, and you
Yeah.
got to go to Michigan to film for Outdoor Icons.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't get to go on the turkey hunt. Dad went with you on that,
It was
but I
in-
got to go with you on the other two.
Yeah, and you follow Alabama.
You follow Alabama.
We went with this guy, the Turkey Whisperer. It was the craziest thing ever. That was a fun experience. Getting to kill that turkey.
You were the only one that killed one too, weren't you?
Another boy killed a Jake, but I killed an actual, a big tom,
Yeah.
like a stud tom. I didn't know what I had killed. And it was thunder. I mean, the guy picked me up at like 3 o'clock in the morning at the camp, and he was a timber cruiser, so he had all these places to hunt. And we pulled up on this place, and it was just thundering and lightning and just coming a heck of a storm. Bad. And we just sat in his truck, and he just watched the radar, and he said, right here, he pointed to his phone, and he said, right here, we're going to get out. And so we got out of his truck when the weather was almost about to break, walked up to a green field, and he was just telling the turkeys what to do. He said the hens will come out first, and then the toms will come. Sure enough, like he didn't get it out of his mouth, the hens walked out, and then here come the toms right behind them, and he just made 3 little yelps on a mouth call, and they just turned and walked right to us, and I killed it. And I was like, this guy's amazing.
This guy's amazing.
So he made it seem so easy. But,
Yeah. Well,
ever
when they're
since then, it's
when
not
they're
that
right, man, they are right. But it very rarely happens that way. But I just remember my whole thing was, the opportunity that I saw was they wanted you to write articles for this thing that you did, and they wanted you to do video blogs. And back then, I'm sure there was HD cameras, but it wasn't like it is now. There was still a lot of standard definition stuff. And also TV was still the only medium that got any money and got any play. Whereas now, TV's starting to, the web and streaming platforms are starting to take the place. They're starting to take the place of TV now.
Yeah.
But back then it was TV only. And so when they wanted you to do these web or like video blogs, they were just for the website. They weren't web shows. But I wanted yours to be better than everybody else's.
Yeah.
And so
We thought they were the best thing.
well, we did. I wish I still had them. I tried to look them up. I can't find them. I don't still have them. I know they were absolutely terrible, but they were better than what everybody else did, which was essentially selfie videos.
Yeah.
So it was. We bought a second little camera. Had a second camera. I don't even remember if we bought one or had one, but we 2 camera angle. Shooting the bow in the yard and trying to kill a doe and. All these stupid things, and then put a little music to it on my iMac with iMovie, and we used licensed music. We didn't know what non-licensed music was. We had no idea. So it was not until after the year was over that you did that, you know, that they asked you to stay on board, wasn't it? They asked you to just say, hey, you know, you did a really good job. And you're like, well, I didn't do much of that.
I didn't do any of it. I mean, you told me what to do, and you did all the camera work, the editing, and they thought I was doing all of it.
Yeah, but I didn't know. But I really didn't know what I was doing either.
Well, you got it definitely gave you the itch.
It gave me the itch. Yeah, I did. But it's something I'd never even thought about doing until. But the way I saw it wasn't to do it for the video work or to make a career out of it at the time. It was just I wanted yours to be better than theirs.
Yeah.
It was a competition. It's like there's 4 kids in this, and Josh is one of the 4. I want his to be better.
Yeah.
You know, so that was my whole. That was the way I viewed it. It's like, okay, how can we stand out above the crowd? I mean, there wasn't like some like winner, like, hey, the best of the 4 gets this special thing, but it was like, you know, let's go above and beyond. You know, this is a once in a lifetime thing.
Yeah.
And then the outdoor, I wish I could find that outdoor icon show that you were on, which we went up there for what, 2 or 3 days, and you made what, like
30 seconds.
No, I don't even think it was that.
It wasn't.
It wasn't very much at all.
What was that guy's name? Wolf Creek Productions.
It was Steve Gruber. I've still talked to him a couple times. I've ran into him a couple times at shows.
That was probably the farthest I've traveled out of Georgia at the time.
But I looked back on that. I think the biggest thing was when we went to Realtree and we met Dan Johnson, which was I remember the camera guy for Realtree's name, but I can't remember the Colin Kearns, which I just looked up Colin Kearns, by the way. He's now the editor-in-chief at Field & Stream Magazine.
Probably should have kept him.
Approaches. I might email him. I'll reach out to him and say, hey, you remember me?
Yeah, that was 14 years ago. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about. But anyway, how it all transpired, still just like it was a God thing. I mean, we just right place, right time. And I wish I still had what I wrote, because it was like, tell the story of your first hunt. And you know that I told the story of the first hunt. If I remember correctly, the one I told was the one that me and you had to shoot in the creek that the dogs got a hold of. If I remember right.
Really?
Yeah, I think that's what I wrote.
I never saw it. They just called me and said I won.
Man, I wish there was a way to look that up, find it.
Yeah,
I wish I had the email that I wrote to Foxworthy. Don't have it.
Mm.
I wish I knew what I said. Study it, because obviously it was good. But anyway, I just think about that kind of stuff all the time, like all the little things that had to go right, and all the opportunities that I didn't even realize were opportunities at the time. But I wanted to talk about, do you need to call your boss right now?
I mean, he's texted me and called me.
Can you text him back and say, give me a little bit, or you can call him right now?
I need to call him.
Okay, well, you can call him and we'll start this back here in a second. All right, we're back. Sorry, Josh had to take a work call. Anyway, we were talking about how just several things had to line up just the right way for things to go right in this crazy thing that now I've been doing for over 10 years. But I wanted to throw it back even further than that. So not even further than that, but essentially right after you did the thing with Field and Stream, which was what was it called? Generation Wild. Right after you did that, we started filming for DRT back in the day.
Oh yeah.
And me and you didn't see eye to eye all the time. Yeah, we did a lot of butting heads, so I wanted to hear your take on that. So I started filming because you were the only one around to film all the time, and you just wouldn't tell me no.
Well, I don't know. Just something about brothers. That's all I can say is we butted heads too often trying to hunt.
Yeah.
And it for me, it wasn't, you were trying to get footage. I was trying to kill something. And that's all I cared about. I didn't care about the camera. And that's all you cared about was the camera. And it's very obvious now that's what you cared about. And we just butted heads because it just didn't go with the flow that I wanted to go at.
Yeah, well, and I definitely in the very beginning, because I saw so many people around me that said that this is what they wanted to do, but they'd get into filming and then they would let the filming go by the wayside because they wanted to kill something, and which I get. I mean, I still see that to this day. But I just knew if this was going to be successful, that the footage had to be the most important thing, which is still is the most important thing. But at the same time, now I got somebody calling me. I'll call them back shortly. Call you shortly. But yeah, so I did see it. I was looking at it from the viewer side of it, like what does the viewer want to see, whereas everybody else we ran with, which is understandable because nobody was paying us anything, I was losing a lot of money. We just wanted to go hunt.
Yeah.
You know, and I probably did suck some of the fun out of it. I sucked the fun out of it for me sometimes, but I didn't really hunt myself for a couple years.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
you went gung ho on filming everybody and every person that you would let you hang a lock on behind them. You were there.
Yeah, but I mean, it paid off in the end. But like more than anything, I kind of want to talk about like your perspective on being filmed, and then because I mean, we went and hung stands on that little 4-acre place in town. We went, we try and travel and do stuff. We tried to do some duck hunts. We tried everything. Yeah. And the best we could do was occasionally get a shot at the doe. Yeah. And
then miss.
And then
probably. Or say no. Can't. I don't have him. Like, I'll never forget that. There was 2 times that
that was one of my questions. Like, tell me some of your story, the story that sticks out in your mind filming.
There's 2 times that I was running the camera. Nathan,
I remember this.
Tritt was with us. We were turkey hunting.
I remember this.
We have never killed a bird on that 100 acres.
Mm-mm. And still haven't, I don't think.
I don't think anybody has. Well, Jay may have. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. And I was running, I don't even remember that big white camera, and it had its
the X. I can't remember the name of that camera.
Tiny viewfinder. And y'all could see the bird, and I was looking, instead of looking for the turkey, I was looking in the viewfinder looking for it. And I was like, I just kept saying, no.
Which is what I told you to do.
And the turkey got off, and Nathan was just, he was livid.
Yeah.
Because he is a killer.
Yeah.
And at the time, we didn't know what we were doing.
No.
He knew.
I still didn't know for years after that what I was doing.
Yeah.
But I knew the most of all of us, and y'all for sure didn't know what you were doing.
And then another time in Kentucky at 20 Foot High.
Yeah, I'll never forget this one.
Yeah.
I remember them both now.
That was a big old 10-pointer.
Yeah.
I guess a doe had come by earlier.
Yeah.
We had just gotten in the stand.
Yeah.
And
it was the evening, and I remember it was on that logging road in the middle of the timber.
He was trotting.
Yeah.
And then he got out to like probably 40, It was a long shot for us, and we were pretty young.
Well, that was also the time that we set the stand up for a left-handed shooter for me.
Yeah.
And I was hunting on the rare occasion. And when we set the stand up
backwards,
it was backwards for it usually is, because usually you set the stand up on the right side because it's a right-handed shooter. But it was me filming, so we put it on the left-handed over the left shoulder.
Yeah.
And that's what kept me from getting a shot, was you were in the way.
Yeah.
If we would have set it up right-handed like we always would have, I would have probably gotten a shot at it.
Yeah. That was a good deer.
Yeah, it would have. It's still. If I would have shot the deer, it's still been my best deer to this day.
Yeah.
But
I'll never forget that deer. I can almost probably take you to. I know I could take you to the tree.
I could take you to the tree.
And then that's just crazy how you remember stuff like that.
Yeah.
Those are the only two that really.
He was like a short tined,
misses. Yeah.
short tine 10, probably 135-inch deer,
Yeah.
140-inch deer maybe.
That's the only times that
Who
I remember.
Who filmed that big deer with Storm? Who filmed that really big deer in that green field? It was late at night. It was a Big 10. He never got a shot at it, but it was a big deer. Who was that? Was it Will?
I don't know. The only successful hunt
I should have had Will up here. We should have had Will up here too.
was Will. We took the veterans turkey hunting. You remember that up there in Kentucky? The wounded vets.
I don't remember. Was I there?
We filmed it. So I figured you were there.
I don't remember.
I was the guide.
Now Dad's calling me. Good Lord.
And Will was the cameraman, and this guy, I'll never forget this. He was a wounded warrior, and he wanted to kill one with his bow. We were down in that the back cornfields in Kentucky, in a ground blind. Will's literally sitting on my feet, and we were all three in the ground blind, and the guy was here with his bow, and three Jakes walked by at like 15 steps. He's never killed a turkey, and they just walked right in front of him. And I was like, it's hard to kill one with a bow.
Yeah.
And I was like, why didn't you shoot? They're legal. And he was like, oh, I want to kill a big one. So the next day, we hunted the same place. It was thundering, raining, and it finally quit raining. And I just made one call, and this bird gobbled right next to the blind. And it walked out and walked straight to the decoy. And I was looking through the curtain of the blind, and I was like, it's a good one. It's a good one. And the guy he was the gung-ho with his bow, and I had my shotgun there to follow up. And he said, then he caught a glimpse of it. He said, hand me that gun. And so I handed him the gun, and he shot it. And it ended up it was like a 9-inch beard that didn't have any spurs at all. I'll never forget that. And
where was I?
Will filmed it. He was sitting on my feet with like this weird, he was holding the camera filming it.
I don't remember this.
I remember that one. But there wasn't many successful
No,
film
there wasn't.
hunts.
We didn't realize how hard it was. And
Did you the Velvet 6, did you get it on film?
yeah, we did. I wish I knew where that footage was. Chris Kyle filmed that. Not the sniper Chris Kyle, but local guy named Chris Kyle filmed that hunt. And that was in 2000. I was in college, so 2008 or 9 or 10, somewhere around in there.
Yeah.
That's still the only deer I've ever shot in velvet. Tiny little thing. Is it in the office? Half the velvet's chewed off because of this stupid dog. She got a hold of it. Yeah, I mean, really, that I'm trying to think of like the back in the day, back before I started doing this, like, and getting paid for it. Like, I know I missed several does. I lost that deer in Gainesville City. Shot that 6-pointer.
Was that on film?
Yeah.
Who filmed that?
Will
Dale?
Yeah, Will Dale did. Yeah, I missed one.
We tracked that deer forever.
Oh man, I remember. I also missed one. In that same spot, pretty big deer. The morning Will never answered his phone. Supposed to come and film that day and never showed up. And I was mad I was so mad. I got in the tree and it was like just breaking daylight, and I just saw, antlers walking by me like 25 yards, and I don't know what. Still to this day don't know what I did.
Oh yeah,
but
I had that happen.
probably more than likely what happened is I drew my bow back, never looked at my peep at all, and just shot right over his back. I mean, perfect left to right. It was great.
I have no idea what I did this past fall.
Yeah, but
We
that's
don't talk about it.
that's yeah, another story for another day. But yeah, I mean, we didn't. Oh, you know, when the most memorable one for me is that turkey me and you killed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Tell that
goodness.
story.
Oh, we were.
Was
at,
that's the first successful one me and you ever had, wasn't it? And
Yeah.
we
And,
barely got it.
that turkey just had a death wish. We should have never killed that bird.
No doubt.
Well, I was so mad because you know, me being the great white hunter I am, thinking I could have killed 2 in one shot,
Yeah.
and the bird finally steps out, and you nudge me and say, "I got 2 minutes left to film." Something
That's
like that.
back in the tape days. I
Yeah.
had those. It was a HDV. It was a, God, what was the name of that camera? First HD camera I bought. I bought it with half the money that I got from the Field and Stream thing when we did those webisodes. It was $2,500. I met a lady in Roswell at a Caribou Coffee and bought it off of eBay. I'll never forget it. Wish I still had it just for
Canon.
posterity.
Was it a Canon?
It was a Canon, yeah. And I had
You got the Canon.
30 seconds. It was like a minute, 2 minutes, something like that, like left on the tape because you only get a certain amount of tape. It was an hour tape, and we were poor, man. I didn't have any money. I mean, tapes were like, let's say tapes were like 12, 14, 20 bucks. I don't remember.
I never bought any.
And you could go to Walmart and get them.
Oh yeah, I remember
And,
going to getting them before we went on a big hunting trip.
And I was down to whatever a minute was, and I didn't have another one with me. And these turkeys were gobbling right in front of us in the timber. We couldn't see them.
They were on the edge of the field.
It wouldn't come out.
Yeah, and then like as soon as they
Well, we had
stepped out-
crawled. We crawled all the way down that.
Yeah, and you got shocked by that electric.
Yeah.
Was that after?
That was after.
Oh yeah.
Because I went to go get the tape so we could do the recovery.
Yeah, you had to go get
And
another one.
when I crossed it on the way there, it didn't get me. And on the way back, it got me.
Yeah, well, you were soaking wet. We
Yeah.
crawled like
Yeah.
200 yards
Yeah.
in knee-high wet dew grass.
Still don't know how we got away without getting seen.
Yeah, well, that little privet hedge is not there anymore. We crawled up behind it, and then somehow I was able to walk out into that field and stick that decoy up. And then there's no way. I mean, that we should have never killed us.
Yeah, I know.
Looking back, but
I still do have that hunt.
that was I wanted to get that bird mounted, and it got ruined in somebody's freezer.
Yeah, and then
It
that
was
bird
like
came out, and I'm like, it's now or never. And you shot,
Yeah.
and I'll never forget we showed Daniel Tritt the footage, and it's your yelping afterwards. Do you remember what he said?
Yeah, it sounded like a wounded
No,
chihuahua.
no,
or
he said it sounded like a feist dog.
Yeah.
I'll never forget it.
Daniel Tritt.
Oh, but anyway, we
Nice guy he is.
well, he's him and his boys and Nathan. They're filming a bunch of hunts now, which is cool to see.
Yeah, that's fun to watch.
But yeah, it's just you don't realize, and how many people came and went when we were trying to do that. That thought that was the next thing. Which I look back on it now, and it's like, the whole DRT thing that we did. Like, what if we would have stuck with it? What if we would have stuck it out for 5 years and just done some hunts, created a series, created a brand. It could have, it was very, very early on. It's before anybody had started doing the web thing, really.
Mm-hmm.
And I think back on it, it's like, first of all, how would we have kept it going? I don't know. But, like, it could have had legs one of these days, if we could have stuck with it. But that's also something I think about all the time. It's like, what was unique about it? Nothing. Not nothing really. Just a bunch of idiots trying to go shoot stuff and have an excuse to go do it, which is why most guys get into trying to do it. And, and I've talked about that, the different shows, different levels of shows. Are you trying to make money or are you trying to get your hunts paid for? Because those are two different animals, But you have been listening to a lot of hunting podcasts lately. What's your favorite one you've been listening to lately?
Well, I'm kind of out of the hunting podcast right now because it's not deer season.
Oh, well, that's true.
And I like to turkey hunt, but I just do not have time. But the Gamekeeper podcast with all the Mossio guys is the best educational podcast there is, I think. I mean, they talk about everything. and then put everything in layman's terms.
You have to plan this next year to go with me in WTF. Just go ahead and put it on your calendar. It's Valentine's weekend every year. So just plan on it.
I love to go. They that's the best one. But I've kind of, once deer season starts back up, I'll get back into some hunting podcasts.
Which ones do you listen to during the season?
The THP, the Hunting Public, and then the Gamekeeper does one they do one every week, regardless of hunting season. But, I don't listen to that many. I'm trying to think of another hunting podcast I listen to. But I mostly just listen to the Unashamed.
Yeah.
The Robertsons.
I haven't started listening to that one. I was going to start listening to that one. I started listening to
400 episodes. You better
really?
Better get going.
The I started listening to the Jack Carr books. I bought all his books, and I'm like on the second book right now. But I went and hiked with Dad again this morning, and trying to get him to listen to David Goggins' book, because we got talking about how Dad is about working out and being fit, being tough. So I was like, you need to listen to. But and then I've told the story before about how the Redneck Tech podcast came about, and that's because of where you went to school at North Georgia Technical College, which was affectionately known as Redneck Tech, which is, 30, 45 minutes from here?
Yep, went right by it on my way here. I got a farm I have to go see that's literally 5 minutes from the school.
Yeah.
I pass it once, twice.
What was your degree? And I don't even remember now.
Yeah, since I use it. Had to have it. Mom and Dad had to have it. Water quality and wastewater management.
Really? I didn't know.
I stayed an extra half a year and got wildlife management because I thought I wanted to be a DNR until I met some people that I really like. My in-laws. I'm just kidding.
Oh, yeah. Well, we all know those.
Just kidding.
But
yeah, I did the DNR thing. Like when I was coming out of school, I wanted to go DNR or really wanted to do forestry because I love trees. Still do. But nothing when I graduated in 2010.
That's when I graduated, and you were.
I went 2 years.
Yeah, I know, but
do 4. School was not for me. Yeah, and they were just not hiring at all. I wanted to get on with the forestry company.
Yeah.
Drive a bulldozer and burn stuff. That sounded like awesome. Still does. But I love my job I have now, which is I like it pretty good, and it lets me get to hunt a little bit.
Yeah. Well, you've got a kind of a lucrative thing too, to where you kind of not create your own hours, but you can kind of make your schedule to where you can work, and you've got lots of little places here and a little farm there, and several other places to go.
That's the THP guys, and listening to them and watching that stuff. I'll do the saddle hunting. It's kind of helped me with all the little tracts of land I can hunt. I can just take it all in and take it all out. I don't have to have a stand at every farm I go to, because if I did, I'd just have. I don't know how many stands I'd have, but it's just nice to bounce around.
Well, we talked about it. We need to plant something, do something there at the house this year. We never have to see what it would do, but you swear there's deer over there, and I swear there's not.
Well, I still got a camera going every day.
I haven't even opened I think I deleted the app. Like, I haven't looked in forever.
Well, there's I sent you that picture of those two.
Yeah.
And that was
a month ago. I get enough notifications. I don't want another one.
Well, I quit. I turned them off where they just send it to me twice a day instead of like
every time
it takes one.
Yeah.
'Cause there was some nights I was getting over 100 pictures.
Yeah.
Which is dumb. But I don't want to turn it where it doesn't take it every minute. I can't make myself do it every 3 minutes.
No, well, that's like Lee. That's all he does all night. As soon as he gets back from hunting, he sits down with his food in his chair, and he's looking at trail cam pictures, which he's got a lot more trail camera pictures than you do. But
I had all his Tacticams. I'd have one everywhere. Can't afford it.
Yeah, they're not cheap. But it's crazy to look back on that. It's been 14 years since all that happened, and how much life has changed, but parts of it are still the same. And how, to me, hunting has changed. I've got a different perspective on it than I've ever have before. The media side of it has definitely changed. But like from your perspective, as something, you're a consumer of the media, the content that gets put out there on YouTube a lot of times. And I know you like watching Hunting Public and things like that, but like, what do you watch and why do you watch it? Like, what do you get out of it?
Just different, like the way, just education.
Is it purely education, or is there like an entertainment value?
There's a little bit of entertainment, but I mean, I learn a lot from watching stuff, and just like what I learned mostly, like I'd go back to that deer I killed not this past year, but the year before, that big 8-pointer.
Mm-hmm.
I was going in the same way and never getting close to him. And then one day I changed the way I went in and went way around him, and then I killed him that day.
Mm-hmm.
And like that was something that I never thought about, like changing your access and doing. But I learned that through watching YouTube, and but there is entertainment in it, but I get a lot out of it. I mean, the THP guys are pretty successful, which they're hunting from good land. I mean, in the Midwest, where there's a little more deer density than we have.
Well,
here.
there's more deer density and there's less people.
But I mean, they show everything that they're doing, pretty much, and they tell you how they've got to where they're going and how they're getting there and the next step and stuff like that. So and they're fun to watch. They're fun to watch entertainment wise, but mostly it's I just like learning different things.
Well, you told me one time you feel like it's something you could do.
Yeah, I mean
it's relatable.
It's very relatable. It's not like paying $15,000 to go shoot a 7x7 elk.
Yeah, which is unattainable for the vast majority of the population.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's why that those guys, I mean, they found a niche, because I mean, for years and years and years, I had guys ask me, why don't y'all do a show, hunting show on public land? It's like, in Georgia, are you crazy? Like, we want to be able to actually see something.
Yeah.
And then these guys that get together and figure out a way to do it and stuck with it. I'd like to know how long it took them before they started like turning a profit. I'd like to know the back end of it. I know they're doing fine now, but I mean, that was a long road to hoe there, because there was the amount of time they put in hunting and filming and putting out. I mean, they put out a video once a week, don't they? Pretty much.
During deer season, yeah.
So
turkey. I didn't watch many turkey videos, or I watched maybe a couple, but I mean they were pretty regular.
And you watched the Primos guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's the other podcast I listened to.
Primos.
I don't know why. I deleted it because it was taking up too much space on my phone. And they love turkey hunting.
Oh yeah.
And but about August I'll get back on listening to Lake and Jordan.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do like that one too, because Jordan is very relatable, and so is Lake. But they're easy to listen to, and they just good old boys. It sounds like
they are. They truly are. They got the gig over there too. Which I mean, they got a lot to do too, but to be able to put out content for one brand and only worry about one brand, like I envy people like that now, because that would be the freaking dream, just to have one thing. That's all you got to worry about.
Yeah.
Oh man, that'd be nice. But I can't blame anybody but myself. I created this monster.
Yeah.
But can't complain. I'm extremely blessed and glad that I get to do it, and really glad that I had a brother and a dad and a family and a small farm growing up that we could do it on. And it gave me perspective. And that's why I tell people, you've got to hunt out of home a little bit, not near as much as I have, but, I tell guys, I'm like, look, if you enjoy it around here, like, you need to travel and go do a hunt somewhere else. You need to experience, whether it's something as simple as driving 5.5 hours to Kentucky, or if it's, going out west for an elk hunt, if it's a turkey hunt in Nebraska, whatever it is, like, kind of expand your horizons, because it's everything. You live within this small local bubble here, especially in North Georgia, that like that deer that Andre killed. I mean, that's a once in a lifetime deer virtually anywhere.
Oh yeah.
And the fact that he killed it here, if I wouldn't have walked up on that deer with him, I wouldn't have believed he shot it here. I'd believe he hit it on the side of the road in Fulton County and brought it up here.
Yeah.
But it's I challenge guys, and I say this a lot, to go out and try it somewhere else. Find one of your buddies you hunt with all the time and say, next year let's plan a turkey hunt to Nebraska. Let's try and do our first elk hunt in Colorado. Let's do this, that, or the other thing. And which you can tell from experience, once you start having a family, having kids, it makes it a lot harder to get to go and hunt like you want to, and to go and do those things. So do them while you have the chance, or try and make it to where you can work it into your schedule. You can always make time somehow. But, we talk about that on the Make It Happen series with Chuck, about how you can do these hunts that we're trying to do in a real world time frame with a real world budget, because not everybody can do that $15,000 elk hunt. That's very, very unattainable. And I understand that. And, most of the guys making the content can't do that. It's the top 1% of the guys that can do that. But I still challenge you to go and hunt somewhere else just to try it. Because I don't regret anything, growing up here, but man, other places are a lot of fun too. It's just different. It's different everywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And the culture's different, the hunting's different, the landscape's different, the way the animals act's different, everything about it's different. And I think that's why I enjoy it. It's just because, like I went and looked at that place in Ohio that I was going to lease, and I got there and it was just like hunting here. It was on the side of a hill everywhere. And I'm like, I don't want to hunt on the side of a ridge anymore. I was like, that's how I grew up hunting.
Yeah.
I want somewhere that's a Midwest, that's got some pinch points, that's, field edges, that's, got some timber, got some fields, and, there's creek bottoms. I was like, and this is not it. I want something that feels like the Midwest, and this does not feel like the Midwest. But did it have deer on it? I'm sure it did, but just wasn't what I was expecting. I'm really glad I drove up there and put my eyes on it before I leased it, because I would have been very upset if I would have. But now I'm looking in Oklahoma or somewhere else to try and lease a place, but I don't know if I'm going to get to this year with Kansas, which I didn't draw Iowa. I thought I was going to draw. I should have drawn Iowa, but I didn't. But with Kansas and then New Mexico mule deer hunting, I want to do an elk hunt this year. I just don't know how I'm going to do it. I haven't started planning it yet. Got to work and stay married at some point too.
Yeah. Mostly work.
All right. Well, I think that's all I got. You got anything else? No?
No.
First podcast is over with.
Yeah, it's been crazy.
All right. Thanks, guys. Peace.